Hello and welcome. There's a lot of chatter out there about Social Security, and one of the topics that seems to cause the most confusion is this idea of the break-even age. Some people even go so far as to claim you've been lied to about it. Well, today we're going to cut right through all that noise. We'll break down what this term actually means, walk through the math, and then we're going to show you why it might just be the wrong question to be asking in the first place. We'll explore a much more powerful way to think about this decision, one that's really focused on security and peace of mind for your retirement. So here's our plan for this explainer. We're going to start by looking at this break-even question itself. Then we'll walk through the simple math behind it before exploring a more complex argument that brings investing into the picture. After that, we're going to pivot to what I think is a much more important question and reframe how we think about Social Security, more like a form of insurance. And finally, we'll wrap everything up with the key takeaways for you to think about.
All right, let's just get right into it. This whole debate really kicks off with a pretty bold claim you may have seen floating around online. The idea that the common wisdom about when to claim Social Security is just fundamentally flawed.
Now, this is the kind of headline that really grabs your attention, right? It suggests there's some kind of secret or a trick that you're just not being told. The core of this argument is that the way most people calculate their Social Security break-even age is completely wrong, and it's leading them to make a bad decision by delaying their benefits. So before we can even begin to judge that claim, we have to understand the term at the very center of it all.
Okay, so what is it? Well, in essence, it's a crossover point. See, if you claim your benefits early, let's say at age 62, you get less money each month, but you get those checks for a longer period of time. But if you wait until age 70, you get a much bigger monthly check, but you've missed out on 8 years of payments. The break-even age is simply the age where the total dollars you've received from both strategies finally become equal.
Okay, so let's dig into this with a simple, straightforward calculation. We're just going to look at how this break-even age is traditionally figured out, without any fancy financial models or anything. Just pure, simple arithmetic.
So, this is the formal definition we're working with. It's all about the total lifetime benefits. The question is pretty simple. At what age do those bigger checks you get from waiting finally catch up and surpass the head start you got by taking smaller checks earlier on?
Let's use a hypothetical example here just to make this feel a little more real. Imagine your benefit at age 62 would be $1,400 a month. But if you have the patience and the financial ability to wait until age 70, that monthly benefit jumps all the way up to $2,500. That's an extra $1,100 every single month, but you do have to wait 8 full years to start collecting.
Now, what's really cool about this slide is it just lays out the simple 3-step math. First, we figure out the monthly advantage of waiting. That's $1,100. Second, we calculate the total amount of money you would have gotten during those 8 years you were collecting while the other person was waiting. That comes out to $134,400. Finally, to see how long it takes for that extra $1,100 a month to make up for that head start, we just divide the two. The math gives us an answer of 122 months, which is just a little over 10 years.
So you add those 10 years to the starting age of 70, and that gives us our answer. The simple break-even age is 80. So according to this basic calculation, if you live past age 80, waiting was the better financial choice. If you don't make it to 80, claiming early was better. Seems simple, right? Well, this is where the story gets a lot more complicated.
But here's where the counter-argument comes roaring in. And it's a big one. You see, the simple calculation we just did assumes that you take those early $1,400 checks and just stuff them under your mattress. But what if you don't do that? What if you actually invest that money? This question right here is the entire foundation of that "you've been lied to" argument. The people who make this argument say that by investing the money you get between ages 62 and 70, you can generate returns. And even if you spend those checks, well, it might mean you're withdrawing less from your IRA or 401k, which allows that money to stay invested and grow. This growth, they argue, completely changes the break-even calculation. And this slide illustrates the two competing viewpoints perfectly. On the left, you've got the simple math we just did, which lends you somewhere around age 80. But on the right, you have this investment argument. If you assume that early money earns a return, say 5 or 7% a year, it's going to take much, much longer for the higher benefit to catch up. Suddenly, the break-even age could be pushed way out into your 90s, an age that, frankly, many people won't reach.
Now, this debate between the two types of math is, well, it's interesting, but it might just be distracting us from a much more important question. Instead of asking which math is right, maybe we should be asking, what is the real purpose of Social Security in our retirement plan?
Now this is a really powerful statement from the source material. It completely reframes the whole decision. The author says that even if he knew for a fact that he would pass away just 1 month after claiming, at age 70, meaning he would lose the break-even bet in a spectacular fashion, he would still wait until 70. Now that tells us there has to be something else going on here that the math just doesn't capture.
So this is really the core of our explainer today. Are we getting so bogged down in spreadsheets and calculations that we're completely missing the point? Is trying to win the break-even game the right goal for retirement planning? For a lot of people, the answer is a firm no. And the reason why? Well, it changes everything.
Perhaps a much better way to think about your Social Security claiming decision is not as an investment you're trying to optimize, but as a form of insurance that you're purchasing. And specifically, it's insurance against one of the biggest financial risks we all face in retirement.
This slide highlights 2 really powerful reasons why all that break-even math can be a distraction. First, for married couples, you have to consider survivor benefits. And second, for everyone, Social Security acts as longevity insurance. Now, in plain English, that just means it's protection against the financial risk of outliving your savings if you live a very, very long life.
So let's talk about married couples for a second. When one spouse passes away, the surviving spouse gets to keep the larger of the 2 Social Security benefits. So if the higher-earning spouse delays claiming until age 70, what they are really doing is locking in a larger potential survivor benefit for their partner. The goal isn't for one person to break even. It's to provide the maximum possible income for whichever person lives the longest. It's a team sport.
I think this is a fantastic analogy. You pay your homeowner's insurance premiums every single year, and you hope your house never burns down. You don't sit around doing a break-even calculation on your premiums, right? Well, delaying Social Security is a lot like that. You are giving up some income today in order to buy a larger, guaranteed, inflation-adjusted stream of income for the rest of your life. And that protects you from the huge risk of outliving your other retirement accounts if you happen to live to be 95 or 100. So, after looking at all of this, what should you really be taking away from this whole explainer? Let's try to bring it all together and focus on the practical conclusions for your own retirement planning. Okay, let's recap the key ideas we've covered. While that break-even math is interesting to look at, it can be really misleading because it often misses the bigger picture. This decision is less about a calculation and more about managing risk. Delaying your benefit is a powerful way to buy yourself that longevity insurance. And if you're married, the survivor benefit is a massive, massive consideration. But ultimately, there is no single right answer for everyone. It really depends entirely on your personal health, your other financial resources, and your family's unique needs.
And that right there is the real takeaway. This isn't about winning some math problem. It's about creating a strategy that gives you and your family peace of mind for the long run. The security part of Social Security is what really matters, not the spreadsheets. We hope this breakdown helps you approach that decision with a little more confidence. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retirement Finance Explained, for simple and clear guidance on retirement, savings, and financial security. Thank you so much for watching.